You're standing in a kitchen the size of a walk-in closet. The ceiling is so low you can't stand upright. The counter space totals maybe 6 square feet, and you need to prepare 1,800 meals in the next 24 hours. Oh, and one more thing. If you mess up dinner, 134 sailors trapped underwater with you for the next 90 days will remind you about it every single day. Welcome to the galley of a nuclear submarine. Right now, somewhere beneath the Pacific, a culinary specialist is performing what the Navy calls the most important job on the boat. Not the captain, not the sonar technicians, not the guys maintaining the nuclear reactor, the cook. Because hungry sailors make mistakes. Angry, hungry sailors trapped in a steel tube? That's how mutinies start. What nobody tells you about submarine cooking is that it's not really about food. It's sort of psychological warfare against monotony, depression, and the creeping insanity that comes from eating the same meals in the same room with the same people for months on end. Let's talk about what happens when you combine extreme confinement with the basic human need to eat something that doesn't taste like despair. The submarine galley measures roughly 125 square feet. That's smaller than a standard parking space. Inside this impossibly tight area, culinary specialists operate 4 industrial ovens, a 6-burner stove, a deep fryer, a griddle, and enough refrigeration to keep meat from spoiling in a metal tube where external temperatures can hit 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But this is where it gets interesting. The galley operates non-stop. There's no closing time. No lunch rush followed by quiet afternoons. Breakfast rolls directly into lunch preparation. Dinner prep overlaps with midnight meal planning. These cooks work in shifts, yes, but the galley itself never sleeps. A single culinary specialist might prepare 100 meals during an 18-hour shift. That's one meal every 1.8 minutes for 18 hours straight, in a room where you can barely turn around. Submarine ovens are specially designed to function at steep angles during emergency maneuvers. When the submarine dives at 45 degrees, regular ovens would dump everything onto the floor. Submarine ovens have locks, baffles, and racks that grip food trays like they're welded in place. The deep fryer has a lid that seals shut during rough seas, because hot oil sloshing around in a confined space creates burns that can't be treated at the nearest hospital. The nearest hospital is 400 feet above you and 3 days of surface travel away. Storage is the real challenge. The submarine deploys with approximately 90 days of food. That means every single meal for every single sailor for 3 months gets loaded before departure. One submarine's pre-deployment inventory included 200 pounds of chicken, 800 pounds of ground beef, 600 pounds of pork, 500 eggs, 400 pounds of butter, 300 gallons of milk, 1,500 pounds of potatoes, 800 pounds of pasta, 250 pounds of onions. And that's just the basics. Yeah. Now imagine fitting all that into a vessel where every cubic inch serves a purpose. Refrigerators and freezers occupy spaces throughout the submarine, tucked into corners, installed in passageways, competing for room with torpedoes and nuclear warheads. The cooks maintain detailed spreadsheets tracking consumption rates. They know exactly how many meals remain. They calculate buffer days in case the mission extends. They plan menus weeks in advance, balancing nutrition with morale. Because here's what the Navy figured out decades ago. Food is the only variable these sailors can look forward to. They can't control when they surface. They can't change their watch schedule. They can't alter their mission parameters. But 3 times a day, plus midnight meal, they get something different to eat. Something that reminds them of home, or at least doesn't remind them they're trapped underwater. Let me tell you about the creativity required. Week 1 underwater, everything's fresh. Eggs taste like eggs. Milk tastes like milk. Bread has that soft texture that makes sandwiches worth eating. Cooks prepare elaborate meals because they have the ingredients to do so. Omelets with fresh vegetables. Salads with actual lettuce. Fruit that isn't canned. Week 3, The fresh food is gone. All of it. Now we enter the realm of shelf-stable ingredients. Powdered milk that tastes like disappointment. Powdered eggs that have the texture of rubber. Bread that comes from cans and somehow tastes like the can smells. This is exactly where good cooks separate from great ones. Great submarine cooks become culinary magicians. They're taking these sorts of ingredients and somehow creating meals that sailors actually want to eat. They're experimenting with spices, combining canned goods in unexpected ways, using the deep fryer to make anything taste better. One cook figured out how to make pizza using flour, canned sauce, cheese that comes in industrial blocks, and whatever toppings survived the fresh food purge. That pizza became legendary. Sailors talk about it years later. Another cook started Taco Tuesday using canned beef, powdered cheese sauce, and tortillas that come vacuum-sealed in packages of 100. It became the highlight of the week. Guys would wake up on Tuesday morning already looking forward to dinner. The birthday cake tradition shows you everything you need to know about submarine culture. Every sailor gets a cake on their birthday. Doesn't matter if it's day 3 or day 83 of the deployment. Doesn't matter if ingredients are running low. You get a cake. The cook makes it from scratch using whatever ingredients remain. Early in the deployment, it might be chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. Late in the deployment, it might be white cake mixed with canned frosting, but it's still a cake with your name on it. The crew gathers. They sing. The birthday sailor blows out. Candles that probably violated some fire safety regulation, but come on, nobody cares, because this moment of normalcy matters more than regulations. These tiny celebrations keep people human. Next comes something nobody wants to discuss: cleaning. A submarine is basically a tube filled with 135 sweaty men, cooking food constantly, generating garbage, using equipment that leaks oil, and somehow this place needs to stay cleaner than most people keep their homes. Because the truth submarines don't tell you in the recruiting videos is that contamination spreads fast in confined spaces. One outbreak of food poisoning could incapacitate the entire crew. One mold colony growing in the ventilation system could make the air toxic. One bacterial infection could turn into an epidemic because there's nowhere to isolate sick personnel. So, yes, cleaning becomes survival. Field day happens weekly. That's when every department deep cleans their spaces. And I mean deep clean. Toothbrush scrubbing of corners. Inspection level cleaning, where officers check behind pipes and under equipment. The galley gets cleaned constantly. After every meal, after every cooking session. Counters get sanitized with industrial strength cleaners. Floors get mopped. Equipment gets broken down and scrubbed. Trash gets bagged and stored for later disposal, because you can't just throw garbage overboard whenever you feel like it. Health inspections occur regularly. Medical personnel check food storage temperatures, verify cleaning logs, and ensure no cross-contamination between raw and cooked foods. The standards are ridiculously high because the consequences of failure are catastrophic. But personal hygiene? Well, it's complicated. Remember, water is precious despite the submarine's ability to make its own. Running the distillation plants takes energy. Using more water means making more noise. Making more noise compromises stealth. So showers are quick, really quick. The unofficial rule, 3 minutes maximum. Get wet for 30 seconds, turn off the water, soap up for 2 minutes, rinse for 30 seconds. Done. Some submarines enforce this with shower timers. Others rely on peer pressure. Nobody wants to be known as the guy who wastes water so he can enjoy a long shower while everyone else sacrifices. Laundry works on a rotation schedule. Limited washing machines means crews sign up for specific time slots. You get your uniforms cleaned maybe twice a week. Everything else? You wear it until it can walk to the laundry room by itself. This sort of creates interesting social dynamics. Everyone smells. But since everyone smells, nobody complains. It becomes the new normal. Your nose adapts. After 3 weeks underwater, you stop noticing the general funk that permeates everything. Trash management is an engineering challenge. Everything gets sorted. Food waste goes into one category, plastics into another, metals into another. Glass gets avoided entirely because breaking glass in a submarine creates dangers that last for months. The trash gets compacted into those special steel cans. The cans get weighted so they sink. They get ejected through the trash disposal unit when the submarine reaches international waters at least 3 miles offshore. But here's something the environmental regulations don't advertise. Submarines track every single item they throw overboard. Weight, contents, disposal location, depth, time. The paperwork is intense because dumping waste in the ocean carries serious legal consequences. Some items can't be thrown overboard at all. Batteries, electronics, certain plastics. These get stored in designated spaces until the submarine returns to port. Imagine storing 90 days of non-disposable trash in a vessel that's already cramped. The attention to detail borders on obsessive. But it has to be. One contaminated water tank could poison the crew. One overlooked waste pile could attract pests. One cleaning shortcut could start a chain reaction of problems that escalate over months. Cleanliness is all about survival. Let me tell you what happens around day 60. The fresh food has been gone for weeks. The menu has cycled through every possible combination of canned ingredients. The same faces sit at the same tables, eating the same meals prepared by the same cooks. The excitement of deployment has worn off. The end date still feels impossibly far away. This is when morale gets dangerous. So, cooks get creative in ways that seem insane until you understand the psychology. Theme nights start appearing. Italian night with pasta and garlic bread. Mexican night with tacos and rice. American BBQ night with burgers and fries. The food isn't actually that different, but the presentation changes. The atmosphere shifts. It's enough to break the monotony. The cooks become celebrities. The good ones, anyway. Their food determines the crew's mood. Their creativity provides entertainment. Their consistency prevents despair. And when the submarine finally surfaces after 70, 80, 90 days underwater, when the crew sees sunlight again, when they finally step onto solid ground, one of the first questions everyone asks is, "Where are we eating?" Because after months of canned food and powdered milk and creativity born from necessity, these sailors want real food. Food that hasn't been sitting in a can for 6 months. Food prepared by someone who has more than 6 square feet of counter space. But wait, let me tell you the strange part. Talk to veteran submariners, and many of them miss the food. Not because it was better than civilian food, it wasn't. But because every meal kind of represented a small victory against the crushing monotony of submarine life. Every creative dish reminded them they were still human. Every birthday cake proved someone cared. The cooking wasn't just nutrition, it was hope. The cleaning wasn't just hygiene, it was dignity. The survival wasn't just physical, it was mental. Right now, somewhere beneath the ocean, a cook is preparing dinner in a space smaller than your closet. He's using ingredients most people would reject. He's working hours that would violate labor laws on land. He's performing a job that receives no glory, no recognition, no headlines. But 134 sailors will eat what he prepares. They'll taste something other than despair. They'll laugh about the creative names he gives his dishes. They'll feel, for 20 minutes, almost normal. And tomorrow, he'll do it again. Because that's what submarine cooks do. These culinary specialists and the crews who maintain impossible standards of cleanliness in impossible conditions deserve recognition most of them will never receive. They are the unsung heroes of the silent service. Now, I want to hear from you. Could you prepare 600 meals in 18 hours in a closet-sized kitchen? Could you make canned food taste like hope? Drop a comment below. If this gave you a new respect for submarine crews, hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. And check out the next video here.